You know, with my luck, you're probably going to turn out to be another delusion.
Tina, what are you doing?
Jason?
Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are ready to rock. And I have the privilege once again to have our good friend, Brother Lee from Drumdums, hanging out with me. Bro, thank you so much for being here again. As I said backstage, it's just really, it's always so much fun.
Dude, always a pleasure, man. Always fun to be on the night watch.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was a nice little tribute to Lar.
Yeah.
I'm still freaking shook out by that. I was not expecting that at all.
No,
Just insane.
no, man. And you know, obviously, and I know you're a huge Friday fan, and I am too. And when I heard it, it didn't seem real. You know, it just
No,
didn't
it didn't.
seem real. She was only 63, and like you say, this is one that really hurts. And
Yeah.
you know, that was one of my favorite entries. And so, you know, I say this a lot to our folks in our chats, is just that I'm glad that we get a chance to talk about some of these films that affected us through our lives, especially when we were younger, and show appreciation to these artists, whether it be through our platform or if we see them at conventions or whatever. And on this channel, we've talked about a lot of Friday 13th. And so there was no way I couldn't just have a moment here and there just to pay respects to what seemed like a really nice lady who loved her fans, man. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I was just telling you before we went live how I've been in a real Friday mood, and that's what Friday does. You know, it kind of grabs you every couple, even if it's not your favorite franchise, it just grabs hold and it doesn't let go. I think unlike any other franchise, and I've said this before, I think Friday is, out of all the franchises, the ultimate comfort cinema. I don't know what it is about that. Like, I just remember so many like check marks in my life, maybe more check marks in my life with Friday than with Halloween. Just so many, like the first scare I ever had was Friday the 13th part 3. You know, and the first Friday movie I saw in the theater was part 7. And I think that's why it hit me. You know, I'm 14 when I'm watching Friday part 7 in the theater. And then here you got Laura Parker Lincoln, who, when I'm watching this movie, she's supposed to be a teenager. So not that much older than me.
Yeah.
And now fast forward over 30 years later and she's gone. And man, it's kind of a gut punch. You know, it feels like losing an old friend, because we've all watched part 7 and a lot of the Friday movies, you know, so many times throughout our lives. Some of us, we watch them every single year.
Yep.
Probably do. So yeah, man, there's a lot of love in that franchise, and a lot of the celebrities that are in the Friday franchise, they are the nicest freaking people you could possibly meet. Unlike I would put Friday above any other franchise as far as celebrities that are just so down to earth and
Hmm.
so approachable.
Yep. I totally agree. I had the privilege to meet Kane in person and Derek Mears. And each time, and I met Kane 3 times, Derek twice. Each
Yeah.
time I got a chance to speak with them, me, myself, and Coriander, my sweetheart,
Yeah.
uh, for easily 20 minutes each time, like much
Hmm.
longer than they usually would give at a convention type of setting. But they were just so friendly and humble and cool. And I'm blown away. And of course, Deborah Voorhees, I know you know her. She's
Yeah.
amazing. I met Melanie Kinnaman. She's amazing. And to be quite honest, I was hoping at one point to be able to meet Lar, and I kind of
Me too,
regret.
man. I never got to meet her.
Yeah,
It
yeah, I
freaking kills
regret it.
me.
Yep, absolutely, man.
But
But
similar to you,
yeah.
yeah, I talked to Kane for probably a good 10, 15 minutes. And
Hmm.
he doesn't he'll go deep with you. And he was talking about how when they did Freddy versus Jason, and he was like, Robert could have reached out to me. He could have fought for me. And
Mm,
he's telling some guy that he just met for the first time that's just a fan of the franchise.
yeah.
He's kind of pouring his heart out, saying it
Mm,
still hurts. And I
yeah.
think that's the relationship that the Friday celebs have with the fans. That
Yeah.
we're all a family.
Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah,
They just seem like they're a big part, an extension of us, like a big family, like you
yeah,
said, all of them. It's
definitely.
it's crazy. I love it though. But but for you guys that are here, we appreciate y'all jumping in, and we're gonna have a fun time talking about an interesting entry in the Scream franchise. And for everyone, a blanket hello to all of you guys. Seriously, thank you for being here. And also, just to say, and not to throw another wrench in it, but I also wanted to just give a rest in peace to a certain friend that was a part of the community, and actually just tonight, or I should say earlier today, I found out that they're no longer with us. And I just wanted to say, I'm thinking about that person, and I know a couple other folks are. They know who it is, and Lee, it's just one of those things in life. You just gotta have fun while you can, appreciate people that you love and that you have good times with,
Yeah,
and because you just never know. You just never ever know. So, all right. Very cool.
it's tough when we lose somebody from the horror family. I still have,
Yeah.
when I was in probably I was 2018. Let's just say that probably 3 years into YouTube. I
Mhm.
lost two friends. They were legit friends of the horror community. Dylan was 21 years old, and we kind of started Killer Flicks together.
Oh my god.
Technically started it, but he jumped on, because he said, "Hey, I watch your channel," and blah blah blah, and became a member, and he was just
Mhm.
so into it, and we would literally have like phone conversations like daily. And then
Wow.
a couple years later, Dylan passed away, and another one was Derek Mayo, who was very talented artist, and he would make these like they're not really claymation videos, but just I can't remember what you call those videos where it's like almost like paper cutouts, cardboard cutouts, and they're kind of like moving around the frame.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I've
he
seen
he
those.
passed away of cancer around like I
Oh.
think a year before Dylan did, and so like I got the Howling werewolf back there made of paper mache. Derek sent that to me literally like right before he passed away.
Oh my
And
gosh,
it
man.
freaking I still have it up there. And then I got Dylan's skull ring. That's back there on the thing. So,
Jeez.
there's anytime I walk into this studio, I know this sounds really, really cheesy,
Mhm.
but I feel like a presence, especially when I start turning everything on and everything. I feel like I'm not here alone. Like
Yeah.
I'm here with friends, and we're
Yeah,
doing
man.
this together. I'm getting worked up just thinking about it, but I love our
Yeah.
community.
I do too, man, and I definitely feel you on that because as content creators, I think one of the coolest things is making those connections with others, whether it be our peers or obviously the folks that watch and help us out as far as audience. And it's a strong connection, just like we were talking about with the Friday the 13th cast or any of the filmmakers and artists that we look up to if they
Yeah,
are around. So, all
I'm
right.
sorry for your loss, man.
I appreciate it, man. It was a gut punch. So, but life is crazy. That's all I can say, man. Because
It is.
it's got me getting a
It'll
little.
stop you in your tracks.
It will, man. It's got me worked up a little bit too. But But for you guys that are here, we appreciate all of you guys. Kelly, what's going on? Saying hey to Lee. Oliver's in the house. Much love to all you guys.
Thank you,
Seriously.
Kelly.
Jeff, always just, geez, man, gifting memberships right and left. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We really appreciate it. It helps us out so much. Seriously, man. Much love, Jeff. We got Scott in the house.
Scott Lauderdale in the house.
Hanging with us, man.
Freaking
Much
legend.
love. Yeah, he is a legend, isn't he? He's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Super Tenor, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Jason and Melissa, Mega Giants, our good friend Barb from Fear the Talking Heads in the house. What's going on? Hope you're doing well tonight, Barb. Nice to see you. And thank you for also hanging out earlier on Gorophobe's channel. Gene is always, man, I'm telling you, man, Gene is always there. Awesome.
He's
awesome. Very cool. We got Gina. What is going on? Much love to Gina and to Jordy. Brock. What's up, Brock? Good to see you. Paul is in the house. Gina also with the 23 months as a channel member anniversary. Nice. Wow. Yeah, it's almost 2 years. Time flies, and you guys make it go by quick, and it makes it so much more fun. It really does. Seriously. My gosh. And Super Tenor coming in with a super chat. Thanks, man. Saying, hey, Night, Lee, Coriander, and gang. My horror fam, rest in peace to Lar. Absolutely. Seriously, man. Yeah. Much love to Lar. Seriously. She was awesome.
She was awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite moment from part 7 with her that like really, I mean, she pretty much shined the whole way. Like one moment that really stuck out to you?
You know, I'll say this, and I know there's probably others, because of course, you know, the battle with Jason was epic. I remember as a kid, I was just like, wow, this is so cool. But the scene I put in the intro when she's she's talking to is it Nick? Yeah, talking to Nick. And she's trying to tell him, you don't want none of this. I got a lot of baggage. And he's like, he's basically like, it's all good. And she does that smile.
Yeah.
And I just loved that moment. And maybe it's because of now of what's going on, just to see that smile on her face was touching. But that's a moment that stands out for me. I don't know what it is, but it was just a sweet moment. And I don't know, man. It's just, I think that's my
I think going forward, and I think you can say this with any celebrity that passes away, you the next time you watch that movie that they're in, it's a different experience. Than the last time you watched it and they were alive. I guarantee you, next time you watch part 7, you're gonna probably pay attention a little bit more to just the little things that she does throughout the movie. Those little shining moments. And we've lost 3 people from part 7 now. Freaking with John Carl Beekler, the bully girl that was bullying her, she died. She was the first one to pass.
So, Melissa, it's sad. And and from all accounts, I guess that she was really a sweetheart. And I had found out about that through the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, because they talked about her passing, but she was a sweetheart. And it's like, it's just tough, man. But it's life. So for the rest of you guys, Mary, hey Mary, good to see you, saying hey to us.
Hey Mary,
great to have you here. We got Mayan. What is up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. You rock. Man was keeping me honest. I did trivia earlier on my buddy's channel, and I got hit with a two Friday 13th trivia questions. And there was this moment where I was like, I got to get this right, or they're not going to let me come back to my channel. So
you don't want to mess up a Friday question.
You don't. I made it through it. So guys, we are going to be talking about Scream 2. We're going to do the great debate setup and structure. Just to remind you guys who may not have seen it, we're going to have 10 categories that are going to be chosen, randomly by the wheel. And then what Lee and I are going to do, we're going to give a score for those categories. And that is going to give Scream 2 a final score, and ultimately will help rank it in the franchise. And we've been so lucky enough to do this for Halloween and then Elm Street, and now we're with Scream. So this is going to be absolutely crazy. But just to remind you guys what we have for the different categories. I'm going to pull those up because we do have some new categories that are a little bit different than what we had, say, in Halloween. Because, in Halloween, we got to talk about Michael Myers' mask. I think in Scream, the Ghostface mask is pretty much, the same. It's very similar each time. So I didn't want to have that as a category. So we do have a few new categories that are possible. So what we have listed as the categories, we have 2 talking points, one of which is the best scene, in our opinion, and also what is the worst scene, in our opinion. So those are just talking point categories. They won't be scored. But the other ones that might possibly be chosen by the wheel and that we will score upon is the mystery factor of the film, the final girl, the motive of the film. So that's one of our newer categories. The directing, of course, the characters, the story, the kills, the cinematography, the reveal, which is another one of our new categories, because of course there's always a reveal in a Scream film.
Yep.
We also have the opening scene, Ghostface, and of course the it factor. Okay, so those are our categories, and they will be chosen randomly by the wheel. So let me just pull up the wheel, and then we are going to get ready to get going on this. And Lee, I'll have you start off first with the category that is chosen. And the scoring is basically 1 to 5, 5 being masterful, the 1 being absolutely horrible. We can use the 0.5s, so it could be 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. Okay, so here's the wheel, and of course we have Sydney right in the middle. So let's see what is our first category. Let's spin it.
Do we have a Sydney haircut category?
She
always has a different haircut, and
yeah, she does.
Mm-hmm. Or a Sydney neck rub category. She has chronic neck pain. Is that Ghostface fault, or is she just not sleeping wrong?
That's a good point, man. I never really thought about it like that. Oh my God.
Yeah,
all right. So the first category is the kills in the film. So Lee, what did you think in general about the kills in Scream 2, and what would you give it for a score 1 to 5?
I think it's on par with the first movie. I mean, they're pretty bloody kills. Scream's not known for the weapon so much as it is just the intensity, I guess. And I think the first 2 movies, I think, do have kind of the most intense kills. And when you got Randy dying, that's also a freaking gut punch.
Yes.
So if I rate kills in the Scream movies, I'm kind of rating it differently than I would say a Friday the 13th. So I guess in terms of kills, I would give it probably a 4 out of 5. You know, I think the kills match the actual context of the scene and how impactful it is given the character that's dying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably give it a 4.
Okay, awesome. Now for me, before I give my score, just to let you guys in the chat know, especially if this the whoops, sorry.
That's okay.
I just lost my camera there. Hold on. I was like, where am I at?
Yeah, I was like, what happened? I didn't know if I dropped out or if you did.
No, I was like, hold on. One of these is one of these chords, I think. Let me hold on. Let me just.
Hey, everybody. I'm taking over night's stream.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold on 1 second because I got my microphone situated, but let's see. Hold on.
Sometimes I have to select an alternate camera to be able to go back in and select the camera that I want. StreamYard can be weird like that sometimes.
It is. I'm like, why is it doing that? Son of a gun. All right, hold on. You know, it's never gonna be one of those scenarios.
Maybe I'll have you take over my channel for a stream, and I'll take over your channel for a stream. That'd be fun. like and not tell anybody. Just Dee Dee live, and then Night shows up.
People be like, "What the hell is going on here?" All right, hold
Yeah.
on a second. I'm gonna back out and come back in. That hopefully should fix it.
Okay.
All right, hold on one sec.
While we're waiting on Night, everybody tell me where you would rank Scream 2 in the franchise, okay? Where would you rank Scream 2 in the franchise? I need to know. And I'll say this while we're waiting on Night. Scream 2 used to be almost last place for me. I did not like the movie that much. And then something happened on the last watch or the watch before that. I fell in love with the freaking movie. And now I might even prefer it over the original. And I know that's sacrilege, but it might be my favorite Scream movie. I have such a blast with Scream 2 now. So, but maybe it was I didn't like the college setting for the longest time. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I definitely didn't like Derek, the singing in the cafeteria. That kind of drove me nuts. But then, yeah, now I love it to death. Love it to death.
All right. Hopefully that will stay like that. Okay.
Mhm.
Jeez. All right. So as I was going to say before the technical difficulties, you guys in the chat definitely let us know what you think as far as the score that you would give the category. And for me, when we talk about kills, I think that there were some good ones in there. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, Lee, this is a different type of situation than if we're talking about Friday the 13th or even Elm Street. So for me, I think, and this is tough, man. I think I would probably go with I'd probably go with a 3.5, I
Yeah,
think, out of 5. Um, I think they were fine, but I don't know if I want to go any higher than a 3.5, so I'll go with a 3.5.
that sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah,
Okay.
you don't get any like chainsaws and shit like that in the
Right.
Scream movies. It's mostly knife work. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick too in the chat, all you guys that are jumping in, welcome. We appreciate you guys. Again, you can let us know what you think about these categories and what the score you would give is. Again, we're going 1 to 5, 1 being absolutely horrible and 5 being masterful. Okay. All right, so let's see what we get next for a category now that we've got kills out of the way.
I think I'm opposite of Melissa because she says she hates Scream 2.
Ooh.
And 3 still might be my least favorite. I'm not sure.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the final girl. Okay, all right. So obviously, you know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
This is an easy one.
Lee, what did you think of Sydney in this film overall, and what's the score you want to give her in this particular film?
This might my favorite. This might be my favorite Sydney performance. It might be
Ooh.
this one. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because she freaking fires on all cylinders, and at least in the first 3 movies, I think she's phenomenal in all 3 of them.
Yeah, I agree.
And even is she 4? She kind of takes a step down, I think, a little bit, but yeah, this might be my favorite. So I'd definitely give her a 5 in this one. I loved Sydney in this movie.
Okay, all right. So we got a 5. For me, I agree with what you said. These first 3 films, she just had an amazing arc and an amazing progression as a character. Like she felt fully fleshed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even though, like you said, in 4, she took the step back because they had Jill kind of more in the forefront, and of course, there was that balancing act between the OG3 and then the new characters. But I still felt as though she was, I thought that Nev did a great job in 4 as well, even though the character, stepped back a little bit. But as far as
she did.
Yeah, but as far as for 2, I loved her in this. I'm going with a 5 as well, man. She was amazing. I mean, she was just the depth of what she was doing, kind of having that that confidence at first in the beginning of the movie, because she kind of knew people were going to be calling her and pranking her, and she had the game plan with the caller ID, and then realizing that, hey, this stuff is happening again, and having some of that fear and doubt, and then going
Yeah.
through her stuff to come out of it through the other side. I thought it was just some great stuff by Nev as Sydney. It really did.
One thing that kind of it has become a little bit of a trope is in these later movies, like say Scream 5, you establish a new set of young characters, and like Sam, they make Sam kind of the lead character.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of written into a corner where they have to take the legacy final girl, and they have to kind of give her a back seat, which is they really gave her a back seat in 5. So thinking as far as like, I Know What You Did Last Summer and what they're doing with this new movie, wouldn't it be cool if you introduce this new crop of characters and you make the audience think that one of those characters is going to be your final girl, and then the killer actually kills all of them and the final girl, and it actually ends up being Julie James being the actual final girl in this movie? Because they never do stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty damn cool, actually.
That would.
I think it'd be a big surprise too. Like, oh shit, they just killed off the young final girl who I thought was going to be, the lone survivor. But no, here's Julie James going head to head again by herself against the Hook Man. So
that would be crazy, man. Do you know how much we'd all be talking about that if that were to happen? That would be awesome.
And they're not going to do that. I guarantee you.
No, they're not.
She's going to save the day. She'll help save the day. Yeah. But one of the young, that's the one that's going to live. I'm calling it right now.
I agree, man. I don't think that's too risky. I think that they wouldn't do something like that. I'd love to see it though. I really would.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Scott said he's going with a 4.5 for Sydney in Scream 2. That is fair. I like that.
That's fair.
Yeah. We got Blazin in the house. What is up? Good to see you.
Blazin.
All right. And man, thank you so much. We got Lee's link in the chat. I also have it in the description. Obviously, you guys, man. I mean, these guys, they know the drill. If we have a guest, we always want to try to support them in any way, big or small, that we can. So obviously, if you haven't, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you haven't subscribed to Drumdums or Drumdums Extra, make sure you guys do that, because Lee's awesome, man. He really is.
I'm working way too much.
Bro,
we were talking about that.
I don't want to keep saying it, but I don't know how you do it, man. I'm telling you, I just don't know, man. But
you pretty much have to partition your day.
Yeah.
I got this block of time that I could do this. Like literally sometimes when I'm at work, I'm walking around on my phone and I'm planning out what I can get done once I get home from work till when I go to bed.
Yep.
It's that like, and sometimes I'm just like on a weekend, I'm tired and I'm like, I literally will set an alarm for like 20 minutes so I can take a 20-minute nap, and then I can get up and just go again.
Wow, man.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, I thought I had it bad because I work overnights, and there are times I'll be working on stuff during my overnight. And of course, when I come home, I should sleep during the day, but a lot of times I'll catch up on stuff or whatever. And so I hear you, man. It's crazy. So crazy.
Get to work.
Yeah, right. It's crazy. All right, so let's see what we get for the third category with the wheel. We got some big ones out of the way. That final girl came quick. All right. Okay, so the story, it looks like. Story. Okay, so I'll start on this one. The story of this movie, for some reason, and I'm not going to try to project beyond Scream 2, but I really enjoyed this story. I thought that it was well done. It had a lot of working parts, and not to jump to another category, but the people that were in the story, I thought, they had a lot of weight, in different types of ways, for a horror film, especially a Scream film. So I thoroughly enjoyed the story. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. That's what I would do. How about you?
No, I agree with that. One distinction about Scream 2 is, for a slasher movie, it might have the most characters in play that I've ever seen, because she's at college, and they spared no expense on extras in this movie, because this movie is just loaded with extras all over the place, which makes trying to guess. I mean, even in like that classroom when they start talking about sequels, there was so much dialogue from different characters in that classroom that it was almost like impossible to guess who the killers were going to be.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
I thought they managed all that quite well, that by the time you did get to the reveal, it still felt heavy. It still felt like there were some, some big stakes at play. It
Yeah.
didn't feel like kind of like Scream 6, where the reveal was kind of cartoonish and stupid. Like, what are we doing? You know?
Right. It's so
Like
true, man.
they were putting Sydney through the freaking ringer in part 2,
Yeah. They were, man.
emotionally torturing her. So yeah, I agree with you. 4.5 on the story.
Okay, all right. So we got you down for a 4.5. Awesome, awesome. And real
Mhm.
quick too in the chat, just to see what these guys are coming up with. Well, we have Barb from Fear the Talking Heads coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, Barb. We appreciate all your support. You're absolutely awesome. You know that. She's saying, I'm convinced Sydney took self-defense classes after Billy and Stu tried to skewer her.
Oh
She
yeah.
unlocked a new level of badass in this one. A solid 5. There you go. All right. So she was going with a 5 for the final girl as well. I
Nice.
agree, man. She kicked ass.
She
She
did.
really did, And I think, maybe, and I don't even know if I've ever really even thought about this, and I've talked about the Scream movies forever, but this might have been the movie that really cemented her, as far as her final girl legacy, because I think
Yeah.
between the first film and this, she was just strong. She was intelligent. She was witty. She could be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Like she was so well balanced. So yeah,
Yeah, and she was lucky enough to carry forward to the next movie, and then and forward, because oftentimes in these slasher movies, you're lucky if you survive one movie, even if you're the final girl.
that's right.
You're lucky if you survive one movie, and she turned it into a bankable franchise, a living for her. I mean, she pretty much probably paid her bills off of the Scream franchise.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah,
Absolutely. No doubt about that at all. Well, Barb, thank you so much for the super chat. And let's do this. I'll play a quick super chat clip just as a thank you. And also for you guys that have been gifted memberships like Jeff. And we just appreciate you guys being here. So I'll do a quick clip. And Lee, this is a clip where I think we have a certain actor that just shows us how you deal with stress and and this
here
is
it
what
comes.
this is what it looks like.
Fuck this cowboy shit! You got a great ass! Expel them! Fucking hold up, well then there, motherfuckers! Give me all you got! Listen, give me all you got!
But it's bull, Rashid.
So there we go. There we go. All
Man,
right.
you can't beat Pacino in Heat.
You can't, man, and not to go on a rant, but obviously, losing Val actually went back and watched some of his movies just to kind of, reconnect. And
Yeah.
I was watching Heat, and that scene just cracked me up so much. I was like, man, I got to play that as a clip because Pacino, he's just going totally ape shit.
Did you ever see, like, real quick, did you ever see that William Friedkin, who directed The Exorcist,
Yeah.
he directed I think it was Cruising. He directed Cruising with Al
Yes.
Pacino, and they were asking him, what did you think of Al Pacino's comment about this? And he goes, well, I don't give a fuck what Al Pacino thinks. I was like, whoa, that came right out the gate.
William Friedkin never held back.
Oh, he never held back, man. I could
No.
watch his interviews like all day.
Yeah, he was absolutely awesome. Such a talented
Firing guns off,
filmmaker.
firing shots on set.
Yes. Oh my God. He did some, man, back then, I mean, granted,
Yeah.
some of it was, right on the line, but what they did to get these performances, I mean, it's creative, if nothing else.
They're
If nothing
yanking
else.
Ellen Burstyn with a rope.
Yes.
So, and she
Yes.
freaking like broke her tailbone.
Oh man.
Crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy. That's why when you watch it and it looks so good, it's because it was real.
It was real.
It's just
Yes, that
crazy.
was not acting.
Right? Oh my God. All right, Barb, thank you so much. And Denisha also here has a channel member anniversary, 2 years, man. It's absolutely phenomenal. Denisha, hope you've been
Awesome.
doing well. Saying, hey, Knight's been a great 24 months on your channel. Much love to you. Cheers and more milestones. Thank you so much, Denisha. Seriously, You guys are all right, man. You really make the days brighter. You really, really do. Thank you so much. All right. So let's see what we get next for a category. We're hitting some big ones, man. I was wondering, like, wow. All right. Oh, God. Oh, wow. All right. So we've got the mystery factor. So for the mystery factor, which is one of our new categories, basically, and I'll have you start, Lee, but it's basically the whodunit aspect of the film, the mystery of the film as far as who the killers are. What did you think of that? How it was executed, and what would your score be for it?
Well, man, I tell you the reveal, and we'll get to the reveal category, but I was quite surprised by the reveal. But I guess the mystery factor leading up to that reveal and doing a good job of, I guess, putting the pieces together. So you're not like, wait, that didn't really make sense. No, I think they did a really good job, especially again, like I was saying, juggling so many freaking characters. Like Kevin Williamson, you got to give the guy props for, really just kind of orchestrating this whole tapestry of a plot and somehow keeping it mysterious, and keeping it fun. Like, because that's what Scream movies are, I think, first and foremost. They're just really fun slasher movies.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, I think, that air of mystery in definitely the first two movies. It gets a little silly with the third one.
Yeah.
I think if that third movie didn't have that final act, then it would be toilet trash. But luckily, it's got one of the best final acts out of the franchise. That final act saves the movie. So
it does.
It does. But yeah, for mystery, I'd give it probably a 3.5. 3.5.
Okay.
Because I do think atmosphere and mystery kind of go a little hand in hand. And maybe this one doesn't have as much, like a Halloween movie. It doesn't have that, but there's still a good mystery factor.
Yeah, no, I agree, because there's still that aspect of, what's going on and how are these pieces going to fit together, but I would say, as far as mystery, I think they do a pretty good job of it. Obviously, you're wondering who the killer is, and the great Laurie Metcalf, she definitely threw me for a loop as far as throwing me off. So I think the mystery factor was pretty high. I think I also will give it, well, I think I'll give it a 3. I'll go right in the middle. I'll give it a 3. I do think it was pretty good. Although Mickey, there were times when I was already on his scent, and then they threw me off, and then I was back. So, I give him a 3. I think it was pretty damn good. But I think, not to project, but like the mystery of 3, I think was really good, because this whole thing with Maureen and her background in Hollywood, it was like I was in the dark pretty much the whole movie. You know what I'm saying? I was like, who's doing this? What's going on? So, to me, that's an example of an even better way to execute the mystery.
Yeah, maybe they should have introduced little breadcrumbs of that stuff in Scream 2. But T. Parker Evans brings up a good point too. The great red herrings with Cotton and Derek. Because that, I got to admit, I did think Derek could be the killer at certain times.
Yeah, and at one point he was supposed to be.
Yeah,
that was kind of the game plan at one point, but then they changed it up, which I'm kind of glad they did. But yeah, no, it was T. Parker is going with a 5. Yeah, well, there you go. I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. Okay, and we got our good buddy Rachel in the house. What's up, Rachel? Good to see you. All right. She's saying the mystery in Scream 2 is okay. There are better mysteries. Scream 3, yep, there you go. But also worse. So I'd go with a 2.5 out of 5. Okay. All right. Well said. Well said. And I also wanted to give another shout out to our good buddy Jeff, who's coming in again, gifting memberships. I mean, he nice. He's literally like Santa Claus, man. Thank you so much. Again, brother. Appreciate you so much. Seriously. Okay. And let's see if we have anyone else. For you guys just jumping in, RJ, good to see you. Welcome to everybody. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying the conversation. Very, very cool to have you here. Dan. Yeah, I miss Cotton too, Dan. I really do. I think Scream 2 for me, and I'm, if we get a chance to, we'll talk about characters, but I think Scream 2, it was a good movie for Cotton, so of course what happened in 3, it was a gut punch.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It's like, I just started to really love this guy. What's going on? You're going to kill him?
Scream 3 did have a really good opening. Intense.
Yeah, it did, man. No doubt about it. All right. Let's see what we get for our next category, which will be our 5th category. All right. That's awesome. All right. So we've got the reveal. So obviously we're talking about right at the end when we find out who the Ghostface killer or killers are. Obviously in this film, there's 2. Lee, how do you think that was all executed, and what's the score you want to give the reveal?
Well, on paper, it is a typical reveal, a typical Scream reveal, because you have one person that's actually tied to Sydney and, her family. And then you got another person who is just kind of a side person that's got some other ulterior motive, this being Mickey and wanting to blame it on the movies.
Yeah.
But man, it was Timothy Oliphant just so damn entertaining.
Yeah.
It took me a few watches to really get on board with that final reveal. And then Laurie Metcalf is just completely psychotic. She's sort of like Pamela Voorhees.
Yes.
So yeah, I love the reveal in this one. And I think it's almost as good as Billy and Stu. That reveal is, I'd put it at a 4.5 out of 5 for sure. It's definitely one of my favorite reveals of the Scream franchise for sure.
Okay. All right. So we got you down for a 4.5. Awesome. I'll tell you what, for me, I still remember the first time I saw, Mickey, revealing himself. And I was just like, half of me was like, what? And then the other half of me was like, I knew it. I fucking knew it. You know what I mean? It was like, wow. And then of course, it was like, cause they played around with his character. He had some dark moments that definitely fit the profile to be a Ghostface killer. And then of course he had moments like when he's singing and not singing, but he's dancing in the cafeteria, pumping on Derek, and like, come on guys. And
that's a huge gif. Everybody uses that gif. I've used it a few times. It's some great lines too. It's airtight, Sid.
I know. He's one of my favorite Ghostface killers. He's just he's just so quotable, and Timothy's a great actor. He really is.
Have you seen Go?
No, I haven't.
Holy shit, man. I'm sure some of your chat's seen Go. I saw Go. It came out in 99. So yeah, it was after Scream 2. And boy, does he shine. And like, he steals every freaking scene. He plays like he plays a drug dealer. And he's got his shirt off the whole movie. He's just sitting in his pad. And oh my God, he steals every scene. He's got so many freaking funny lines. Katie Holmes is in it.
Oh
and man, Go is so good. So good. It's got that kind of like Pulp Fiction type vibe, because it's like 3 different intertwining stories. But man, yeah, I can't recommend Go enough. He's so good in that.
I've got it written down on my list. Thank you very much.
Let me give you a little nugget, just a little nugget, okay? He's sitting on the couch. He's on the phone talking to one of his buddies who happens to be one of the other stories. And Katie Holmes is just waiting for her friend to come back. She's left there as collateral for the drug dealer. And he's like staring at her while he's talking on the phone. And the guy's like, "Are you going to go to the party?" And he was like, "I don't know." And her name's Claire. And he's like, "Claire, is this party going to be cool?" And she doesn't even like say anything. She's like, whatever. And he goes, "Claire here says it's going to be a kick-ass fucking time."
I love that.
Yeah. He's just so sarcastic.
Yeah. Well, you know how some actors, they just have this thing about them where you just buy into their performances very easily. Oh yeah. And he's that type of actor, man. He really is. I love him.
He's hilarious, man.
Awesome stuff, man. So yeah, the reveal, I just think that it got me in one way, and the other way I was thinking about him. But of course, Mrs. Loomis, that was absolutely banana pancakes. I mean, but I love Laurie Metcalf. She was
Yeah.
amazingly psychotic. I loved it when she got right into Nev's face, and you know what makes me sick? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus, you know,
you believed her, man. She was like,
yes,
she was this close to like freaking clocking her. She was so like,
yes.
so crazy.
Yes, man. So I had a lot of fun with this reveal, the way it was executed. I'd give it a 4. I'd give it a 4. It
Yeah.
was so good. And both actors were on point. But Mickey, like I said, I was like 50-50 on him throughout most of the movie. So I was, one part of me was like, really? And then the other part was like, I knew it. I friggin' knew it. So I'm gonna go with a 4. Let's see.
Rachel brings up a good point about Laurie Metcalf's eyes. Like that's an actor selling it with just not even having to say a word, a physical performance. And I swear, sometimes her eyes look like one of them's going this way and one of them's going this way. And like, because she just like completely lost it.
Yeah, man. Like seriously, she is definitely the best crazy eyes. Well, hold on. I will say, I loved Judy. Judy in 4 and of course in 5. She can do those eyes too, them crazy eyes. I loved her. Marley Shelton. And but Laurie is no joke with those crazy eyes. Like
No,
you truly get scared. No doubt, no doubt. All right. So let's see what else we got going on here. We got another channel member anniversary for our man Russell. Congrats, Russell. Thank you so much, man. You're at 11 months, almost a year.
That's awesome.
Amazing stuff, man. Seriously. And he's saying Scream 2 still my favorite in the franchise. High Night, bet you didn't see that coming, did you?
I might be right there with Russell. I'm telling you. Some days it's like, man, Scream 2 is so freaking good.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's unbelievable, especially when you think of it, and not that I want to box it in as a sequel, but obviously the original was just so good. And it's like you come out with Scream 2 and I'm thinking to myself, how could they even, do something as good or better? And they did some things that were as good as the original, if not better in some aspects. So yeah, it's fantastic. It really, really is. No doubt.
That opening of Scream 2 and I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but Scream is one of the few franchises that I've seen every single movie in the theater, starting with the first.
Ooh, nice.
And by the way, when the first movie came out, nobody knew how that movie was going to be as big as it was. And then it just was number one over and over and over and over again. That by the time Scream 2 came out, man, it was like Scream fever.
Yeah.
And so it was such a cool idea to have the opening of the movie in a movie theater. And so sitting in a movie theater watching the movie, I don't know, it was just like extra exciting, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great opening too.
Well, the other thing too, because Wes, of course, obviously rest in peace to the great Wes Craven, but the inspiration they had for that opening was this old school slasher movie. And I think it was early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. I did a discussion on it a long time ago. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it was called I think it's He Knows You're Alone. I believe that's the name of it.
So familiar.
Yeah. And they have a scene, not to spoil it, but obviously I'm referencing it, but they have a scene where a character, these two characters go into the movie theater and the killer is in the theater and kills one of them. You know what I'm saying? And of course, everybody is not fazed by it because, it's just a commotion of being in a movie theater. So that was a great scene in that movie. Very creepy. And it's old school. I think it's.
I just pulled up the poster for it. I've seen that poster before. It kind of reminds me of When a Stranger Calls, the poster, but I think somebody sent me this movie, not the movie itself, but they're like, hey, you should review He Knows You're Alone.
Yeah,
Poster Alone, and plus it came out in 1980, which oh my god, that's a gold mine as far as I'm concerned with horror movies. So
and if I'm not mistaken, I think I might be thinking of the wrong movie, but this might be the movie that Tom Hanks was in, a horror movie, and I think this is the one that he was in, if I'm not mistaken. It could be another one.
I think you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun movie. I mean, I saw it a few years ago because we used to basically do these reviews on, a lot of the obscure slasher films, especially of the early 80s. And this was one that came up. And so Coriander and myself, we watched the movie. We had never seen it. And we enjoyed it. So yeah, but Scream 2 got some inspiration from that film with this opening, which is yeah, hopefully we'll get
Interesting.
that as a category. So
Might have to
yeah,
bump that up to the, high up on my list.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Eric said, yeah, he knows you're alone. Yeah, that's
Yep.
it with Tom Hanks. That's right. Absolutely. Thank you, brother. Good to see you,
Cool.
man. Barb also coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, Barb, saying I didn't appreciate this reveal until I saw Scream 6.
Scream 6. Maybe 2's reveal wasn't that bad.
That's so true. Oh man, it's so funny because well, I won't project, man. We're at some point we're gonna hit Scream 6 as well. But Barb knows, yeah, that the ending was
Banana
definitely
pancakes.
yeah, it was Lee. That was good.
Jesus.
All right, man. Let's see what we get for our for our next category. You're all right, man.
One of the dumbest reveals ever.
I loved it when Bailey was like, "Yeah, of course it was
Yeah.
us."
He's a former cop and he hid his daughter. He swapped out another body for his
Yes,
daughter's body.
I
Because that's easy
know,
to do.
right? Oh my god.
No
Okay,
kink in that
so
chain. Yeah.
right.
Oh, jeez.
So we've got worst scene. Now this is just a quick talking point. It's not scored or anything, but do you have a scene in Scream 2? And you may not, but do
Yeah.
you have a scene in Scream 2 that you would consider the worst, or a scene that's not a favorite of yours?
I mean, it's an easy answer. For a long time, it was the Derek scene in the cafeteria. I just thought it
Yep.
went. Yeah, I just thought the cheese factor was just through the roof.
Yep.
And I think that's a big reason why I didn't like this movie. And it's just that's my fault because I think there's a lot of great movies that
Yeah.
might have a scene that kind of derails the movie, or it doesn't fit in that well, or it just kind of turns people off, and so
Yep.
then they got to jump back on board. And I
Yep.
think that's what it was for me. I was having a great time up until that scene, and then I'm like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
But now I kind of breeze past it. It doesn't bother me too much. It's almost a
Yeah.
little charming, but yeah, it's definitely that for me. It's still that.
I so agree with you. And I'm actually almost flipped with you in a way, because when I first saw it, I just took it as it was what it was. You know what I'm saying? Because the film is from 97. So there was still some cheesy stuff going on at that time. And so I just kind of took it as it was. And I agree with you. I thought it was charming to a certain degree. And as far as Derek, Mickey saved the scene for me. Just seeing Mickey hyping the crowd up was so funny to me. So when I was younger, I just took it as it was. Now when I see it, like, I get it, and yes, it's charming to a degree, but it's so cringy now. It's like, I mean, I get through it, but it's freaking cringy. I remember we were watching it just a couple of months ago with our two young ones, and man, the look on their face was like, what the F
Like, what
do
is
you
this?
guys got us watching? And we were like, yeah, we know it's cheesy. So
I think I love you, but what am I so afraid of?
right. Oh my god. So yeah, that's my worst scene as well, man. There's no doubt about it. Rachel agrees.
Yep.
Worst scene, definitely Captain Cardboard embarrassing poor Sydney with his god awful singing. I would have broken up with him on the spot.
Yeah,
There
it's
you go.
over. It's over, Johnny.
Right? Exactly. Danielle saying, I actually loved it. Ooh, it was off the rails and made me think of Scream 2. It was very reminiscent. Scream 6 is the movie that inspired me to buy stuff for my walls. Ooh, okay. There you
She
go.
might be talking about the reveal in Scream 6.
Oh, okay. All
Right
right.
on
So
that?
Barb was saying
be.
to Danielle, okay, all right. Hey, everybody has their own thing, man. There were parts of the reveal of 6 that were fine, but
Yeah.
I've talked about those things too that weren't fine in my opinion. So, all right. Let's see who else. We got Dude in the house. What's up, Dude? Saying, I'll get hate for this, but worst Scream 2 scene for me is the Sid Ghostface chase in the sorority house. Found it kind of lackluster. That's fair enough. I could see that.
I think Dude has a good point there. With that was like a trope of like all the early Scream movies, and maybe even still, where there's like a chase, kind of a pointless chase in the middle of the movie. Nobody's gonna die, at least if they're chasing Sydney.
Yep. True,
And so
true.
it's like a pointless Sydney chase in the middle of the movie, or a pointless
Yeah,
final girl chase. You know, if you know that whoever the final girl is, you're
right.
just kind of wasting my time because I know she. So it's almost better for them to be like a storm coming at each other, and
Hmm.
Ghostface is killing everybody else in his
Yeah.
path, and then eventually they collide at the end of the movie. I think that's the best way to handle it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the other thing to me too is that that chase is really lackluster because to me, the best chase is when you have Gale, fleeing from Ghostface when Gale
Yeah,
and
that's a
Dewey.
great chase.
I love that chase because it had so
Hmm.
much tension and you had Gale hiding, with the walls and
And there's
Ghostface with
always this
the camera
little
work.
chance that Gail might die. You know,
Right.
if she wasn't the final girl, and this
Hmm.
was Scream 2. So at that point, we didn't know.
That's right.
Yeah, Gail was important, but we didn't know if she was going to live.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
up to this point now. Gail's kind of like royalty, and you don't want to fuck with that.
Right. Right. Absolutely, man. No doubt
Yeah.
about it. All right. So let's see what we get next for our category. Ooh, all right. Yeah, very, very cool. Characters.
Characters.
Characters, man. So, Lee, I mean, obviously, as we've said, there's a lot of characters in here. What are your thoughts on the characters and what's the score that you want to give it?
I'm gonna give it a 4, especially if I'm comparing it to the characters in the first movie, because the
Hmm.
first movie's got so many great characters.
Yeah.
Like, top tier type characters. There's a lot of
Hmm.
characters in this movie, but as far as like a Randy tier character, um, I don't think there's as many, but I do love like that whole scene in the classroom when they're talking about sequels.
Yeah.
And even though, those weren't like, characters that were going to be like everlasting throughout the whole movie, that
Mm.
was a nice moment to shine character wise.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd give it a 4. Like I don't think there's a character that annoys the shit out of me, or that I can't stand being on my screen in the
Yeah.
movie. So that's, whereas like I just saw Until Dawn, right? Until Dawn. Oh my God. The reason I don't want to say hated every character, but they just kind of were like, they canceled each other out. They didn't have any kind of meat on them. They were
Hmm.
just like Rachel was saying, I think cardboard.
Yeah.
They were placeholders. They did nothing. And
Yeah.
Scream, even the worst Scream movies, I think, have fun characters.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I give probably a good solid 4 to Scream 2's
Okay.
characters.
Okay, cool. For me, and you're right, Scream has those characters at the forefront, because unlike other horror franchises, especially the legacy franchises, the important thing about Scream is the characters, and
It is.
especially those first four movies, it was the OG 3. It was never Ghostface in the front of everything, like you have Michael or Freddy or Jason. It was almost
Yeah.
the flip with the Scream franchise. And I think in 2 they did a great job with characters as well. I truly enjoyed so many of them. I think Randy was fun. I love the scene with him and Dewey. That was great. I was sad to see what happened to Randy, of course, because I really loved Jamie Kennedy.
Yep.
It was cool seeing so many other up and coming actors at that time that would eventually be so important, not only in film, but also in horror, whether it was Joshua Jackson or Rebecca Gayheart, or obviously Sarah Michelle Gellar, who I loved as Cece.
I
So there
was
were a
gonna
lot.
bring her up. Yeah, I loved Cece in
Yes,
the movie.
yes, man. I was like,
I wish
hell
she had a
yeah.
bigger part. Yeah.
I do too, man. I really do. But I also think, in my opinion, and I love Dewey. David Arquette is amazing, and I
Yeah.
thought he and Gail, this might have been their best performance, together. And I love their performances in 1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5. But I think
Yeah.
2 was God, man. I just
Yeah. This
when
might be my favorite, like Dewey,
yeah,
Dewey
yes.
performance is part 2. That
Yeah.
that scene with him and Randy when he
Yeah.
first gets there and they're sitting at the table, and they
Mhm.
use that scene in the trailer, and they're
Yep.
going over the rules of a sequel. Oh, that is
Yeah.
just gold.
It
You know,
is. It
and like the
really
stuff
is.
that Mindy's trying to pull off, I think it's a little effective in 5, but in 6, it's just like, oh shit, we forgot to throw in a rules scene. Let's shove Mindy in front of the camera real quick and have her like
Yeah.
spout off something.
Yeah.
Whereas it
Yeah.
felt more like crafted and put together in those early Scream movies.
I agree. It just
Yeah.
felt like it was it just felt like it belonged.
Yeah.
Whereas and I think Jasmine is a great actress and I did
Sure.
enjoy her in 5 more than I did in 6, which is funny because I enjoyed Chad in 6 more than I did than 5.
Yeah, me too. Me
They
too.
flipped for me.
They flipped it.
But I could rant about that all day. But you're right. It just seems like they threw Mindy in there and said, "Hey, be our new Randy." You
Yeah.
hear me? Do it. And again, she's a very talented actress,
Yeah.
but it just didn't feel as realistic as
Mhm.
with Randy, because Randy was just that crazy guy that so many of us knew when we were younger. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Always spouting out these facts about nerddom, and he was really a nerd,
Yeah,
and
he was us.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was us. It's
Mhm.
so true.
It is. He's what we're doing at the screen when we're watching the movie. Don't go. What do you do? Don't go in there.
That's right. That's awesome, man.
Don't say you'll be right back.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, for me, I would go with a 4 as well for characters. They were just fun
Mhm.
all around. I really enjoyed them. And again, to me, this was a shining moment for Gail and for Dewey. They were gold in my
Yeah.
opinion. When she first runs into him, one more thing I want to rant about. When she first runs into him and he says, why don't you leave Sydney alone and blah blah blah, and he's talking about the book and the chapters with him in it, and he's just being awesome as Dewey. I love that scene where she's apologizing to him and she puts her hands up, to kind of either kiss him or embrace him, and he kind of jolts back. And it
Yeah.
was just that chemistry that Courtney Cox and David Arquette have that
Mhm.
was a big part of the magic of these films. They really, really
Absolutely.
were. So, all right. So
And
let's
Dead
see.
World Universe, he says Mindy 100% fit her role because she loved the memory of her uncle. Look, I'm not like putting down Jasmine
Mm,
Savoy Brown or even the character of Mindy. I loved the character. To me, it
mhm.
was the writing in part
Yeah.
6. Again, how it didn't feel like it had the flow with the rest of the plot like those early Scream movies did. And I
Yeah.
do give her credit for part 5. I felt like that scene was much better orchestrated, with Dewey and everything. But 6,
Mhm.
man, it just felt like, we got to throw this in there. So
Yeah.
but I do, yeah, I love Mindy Savoy. I mean, not Mindy, sorry, Jasmine Savoy Brown. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
charismatic for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because like for instance, and not to rant on it, but in that scene in 6 when they're at the park or whatever, and it's almost like she's on stage. Like, there's a part of that okay, that's cute, but then there's a part of it that kind of it took me out a little bit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Whereas
yeah,
when Randy did it, and I guess it's not fair to compare her to Randy because they're two different characters, but I'm just saying they portray the same device in
yeah.
these films. You know what I'm saying? And when Jamie Kennedy was written the way he was written to do these things, it just flowed more seamlessly to
Hmm.
me. You know what I'm saying? So, but writing, in my opinion, I think the writing of 5 and 6, in general, I'm not saying from A to Z, but in general, I think it was inferior to the first 4 films,
Yeah,
anyways.
for sure.
So that's just me. And maybe that's a Wes Craven thing as well, because as we all know, Wes, when he directed, he could write as well. So there were times
Yeah.
when Wes would band-aid stuff as he went along if it didn't
Hmm.
feel right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
and
I
that's
yeah,
that's what separates the greats from good directors.
so
Yeah.
true, man. So true. So all right. So let's see what we get next after characters. We're going for our 7th category. There
Hey,
we go.
Ghostface.
All right. We got Ghostface. So, when we talk about Ghostface, we're just talking about just in general what we thought of Ghostface, the way he executed things, the way he looked,
Hmm.
all of those things combined. What do you think about Ghostface in Scream 2, and what score would you give him?
Oh, I loved Ghostface. Man, he was agile. He was
Mm,
all over the place, fast. He
yeah.
was lethal.
Yeah.
Like, you did not want to get in front of Ghostface and Scream 2.
Yeah.
because you felt like, oh my god, that's it, it's over. I
Mhm,
do feel
mhm.
like maybe Mickey did a lot of the heavy work
Yep.
in Scream 2. And I think Laurie Metcalf, I think she probably was, taking advantage of a situation where she, the prey didn't really know she was there. That might have
Mhm.
been her. But as far as like doing the freaking cardio, it was probably Mickey. But
Yep.
yeah, as Ghostface in general goes, I loved Ghostface in part 2. So yeah, I'd give him like super 10 there. I'd give him a 5 out of 5 for sure.
Ooh, okay. So we got a
Yeah.
5 out of 5. For me, I think that the way that Ghostface was depicted in this film, I did feel like they were definitely trying to amp up things, from the first
Yeah.
film. And there were a lot of great scenes. I mean, even in the beginning, in the bathroom, I was just like, wow, this is
Wow. Yeah.
some brutal stuff you didn't
Not fucking
expect.
around.
Not at all, man. And of course, with
Mm-mm.
Jada's kill, that movement, that physicality, when she realizes that holy shit, this isn't Phil, and then he does what he does. The car scene was amazing. It's
Yep.
like, man, there was some great stuff. And like I said, the chase with Gail, and then of course when Dewey got stabbed, and we thought once again, we thought Dewey was gone. So there was a lot of intensity. I would probably say I would go with I think I'll go with a 4.5 for
Yeah.
Ghostface in this one. I think it was really well done all the way through. There was intensity, like you said. I think you said it really well. You didn't want to mess around with Ghostface in this
No.
film.
As far
It
as being
just
scared of what's behind the mask, I think Scream 2 fit that bill really well.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah, there was definitely those moments where I was just I guess when I watch 'em, and I don't know if you do this, but when I watch a movie, especially if it's like a franchise like this, I try as much as I can to not overthink stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
even when Sydney was being chased in the middle of the film and stuff, you know, the logical side of my brain would have been saying, there's no way that she's going to die right now. It's got to
Yeah.
be at least further into the film. But I try to not do that. So there were those moments where I felt fear for the people that were being attacked or chased by Ghostface. So yeah, I think 4.5. He was great,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
and
Especially like
he
the
and she.
CC, he was brutal with CC. Threw her
Oh
off
man,
off the balcony. Like he
man, that one
stabbed her in the
killed
back
me.
and then he picked her up and threw her off the balcony.
Yeah, man. And I'm such a fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar. So it's
Yeah.
like when she's getting thrown off, I'm
Got
just like,
handled.
no.
Mhm.
It's like I want to
You
catch
wanna
her. So
die tonight, CC?
oh, that was great. And shout out to Roger L. Jackson, because
Yeah. That
the one
voice.
thing I think most of us can all agree with is that his delivery in all 6 films is
Yeah.
just money. It's absolute
Mhm.
money. I just love his delivery, his voice, the way he, like we were just talking about Scream 5 the other week, and I love it when he was taunting Judy when he was about to kill Wes, and he's like,
Yeah.
Judy,
Yeah.
like, oh my god, that's awesome. So yeah, great stuff. All right. And Barb saying, man, I just love this franchise so much and so grateful for live chats like these that allow us to geek the hell out.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about Scream. It is.
It
It's
is.
a fun
It is.
franchise.
Yes, 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 yes. Danielle saying, you're right, Knight. It's not fair to compare Mindy to Randy as if they're the same person. Absolutely. And I do think there are some things that, Jasmine brings to the role that is very effective that Jamie didn't have, for Randy. And of course, that's because, they're two different actors. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. They each have their own gifts. No doubt about it. Um, Look, Rachel says he's teleporting, man. How does he get from the top of the auditorium to behind the desk in a second? Right?
You could probably find a moment like that in every Scream movie, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's so true, man. It's so true. Especially in 3, man. And I'm not gonna. A lot of these guys know what I'm talking about, man. I'm not gonna rant because I put out my. I have this series where I kind of dissect movies and talk about the issues that some folks have, called Why You Hate. So I did a Why You Hate Scream 3. And I
Yeah.
went deep on Roman and the fact that there's no way he could have committed all those
Yeah,
murders
it's one
alone.
killer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. That is banana pancakes, man. I'm
Mhm.
telling you.
They should have stuck with the 2 killers just for the
Yes.
logistics of the whole thing.
Yeah, I
But you
agree,
don't really
man.
hear too many people complain about that in Scream 3. Maybe because
Mhm.
there's other stuff that they complain about, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, there was so much stuff going on behind the scenes, man, because we had just gone through the Columbine, tragedy and all
yeah,
these
yeah.
other things, and the studio was just like they wanted to tone it down so that it wouldn't have a lot of, controversy. And they
Mhm.
didn't they didn't like the idea of having the second killer being Angelina. So they were like, nope, we just want one killer. But the way
Yep.
that Wes shot the film, e- logic dictates that there has to be someone else helping him. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So it is what
definitely.
it is. It is what it is. All right. So let's see what we have next. We've got our 8th category that we are spinning for. Ooh, oh, I was wondering if we were going to go in directing. Cinematography. Cinematography. Okay, so cinematography, talking about how this film is shot, how it looks. What do you think about that, Lee, and the score that you want to give it?
I mean, I think Scream in general, they look great. They're standard shot, millennium slasher type movies.
Yep.
Um, as far as like these aren't like Halloween where the atmosphere can be like through the roof.
Yeah.
But they're still aesthetically pleasing. They suit the story. And I would just give it, a passing grade, like maybe a 3.5 out of 5. That's probably what I'd give the cinematography. It's not something that, like, when you walk out of the theater, you're like,
Mhm.
holy shit, did you see that cinematography? I mean, nobody's going to be saying that, right? They're going to be
Right.
talking about the plot and the reveal and all that stuff. So, whereas
Yeah.
you might say that if you walk out of, like, say, like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 or Halloween 6, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd give it like a 3. It's passable. It's 3.5 out of 5.
Okay. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a good point because like in other films, they might, and of course, movies have always stood upon the shoulders of those that have come before. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So, like you said, movies, whether it be like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which of course, and these guys know I have my issues with certain things, but I will say that there were some great camera angles and there were some
Yeah.
interesting ways that he shot it. You know what I mean? And especially moments, and you guys know I've said this 1,000 times, when Daniel Harris is attacked and ultimately killed. First of all, that still affects me because Brad
Yeah.
Dourif was so emotional and just gut wrenching when he saw his daughter. But
Oh, yeah.
the way it's shot is just so interesting. And
Hmm.
so
They're
you're
creative.
right. Yeah, yeah, the creativity, exactly. So I
Hmm.
definitely know what you mean. So for me, for Scream 2, I think in general it's shot well, of course.
Yeah.
I probably say the standout is that chase with Gale and
Hmm.
Dewey, because there's some good movement of the camera and angles like that. I'd probably go with a 3. I'd go with a 3,
Okay.
right down the middle. It looks great, but I don't think that there's anything that stands out a hell of a lot. You know what I'm
No.
saying? But 3 is fine.
And I'll tell you right now, that's one of the issues I have with Scream 3 is I think
Mhm.
cinematography wise, sometimes it looks like a TV movie. Maybe
Mhm.
it's when they're on the sound stage and all that stuff. It
Yeah.
does look kind of, and there's some shots in Scream 3, like the Sydney stuff and out on a
Mhm.
ranch and everything. That stuff looks amazing. It looks great.
Yep.
So maybe
Yep.
it's just because they're on a film set, like literally in the movie, they're on a film set, and that can I mean, but you can still make that look cinematic. Whereas
Right.
the rest of the Scream movies, and I even say the strengths of the latest Scream movies are the cinematography. Like Scream 6 looks
Yes.
glorious.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
probably one of
I
the best
agree.
things about Scream 6.
Yeah, that scene where, and again, I know I keep saying I won't project, but we got to dive into some of this sometimes. But that
Yeah.
scene where they're on the ladder and
Yeah.
the camera pans
Great
up from
stuff.
the street all the way up to Sam looking out of the window underneath of her. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful stuff. Yeah, so I agree with you on that 100%. Um, and Rachel, she's too funny. I love this lady. She says also, how did he know that guy would put his ear up to the stall in the bathroom? And how did he know it was the
Yeah.
right guy?
That exact moment and that
That's so
exact
true.
location.
Oh my God. You're so right. Yep, there's definitely some superpowers going on with some of these killers, man.
Mm-hmm.
And T. Parker was saying Scream 5 looks like a TV movie. Ooh,
There
there you
are
go.
some shots in Scream 5 that do look sort of cheap. I will
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, no doubt about that. Scott saying, Night, that's one of my favorite Brad Dourif scenes ever, especially the director's cut version where Rob
Yeah.
inserted home video of Danielle as a child, utterly gut-wrenching.
Yeah, that was a
Absolutely, man.
genius move.
It was. It really was. And man, I'll tell you what, because I saw it in the theater with my brother, and when it got to that scene, and I'm sure you can understand what I'm saying. You know, Danielle Harris is very important to me as a huge Halloween fan
Mhm.
because her role in 4 and 5 were very special to me, and
Yeah.
so seeing her, obviously a new character, but you know, there's the bridge there, and seeing the young images of her, it was just like, oh my god, it's Jamie Lloyd. No,
Mhm.
don't kill her. So yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. That
brutal.
was it was tough, man. It was tough. All right. And Paula was going with a 5 for cinematography. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Very, very cool. We got A-Troll in the chat. What's up, man? Dewey got stabbed 100 times.
No, Chad
Hey.
got stabbed 100 times.
Right? Oh my god, man. Don't get me
Dewey ain't got
started,
nothing
man.
on Chad.
Everybody can survive Scream if we go
Mhm.
by Chad, man. Holy moly. Okay, let's see what we get next. We got 2 more categories to go, and we've got 5 possibilities.
All right.
Ooh, go, go, go. Yes, it did it. Oh, I'm feeling good about this. Okay, so this is just a talking point. We won't be scoring this one, but do you have a scene in the film that you would consider your favorite or the best scene?
I do like that scene, and I think this is close to the final act where she's in the middle of that that like play that she's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's running through, and like Ghostface kind of like pops into the scene and kind
Yeah.
of throwing her off, and she's like questioning, is he really there or is he not? And that's
Mhm.
something like I don't think I've seen too often in a Scream movie. Usually when Ghostface is there, he's really there. But
Yeah.
even the audience might have been like, was Ghostface really there? And
Yeah.
I always like when I did my I think it was on my review, like my last review of Scream 2, it felt like, oh no, my documentary. When I did the Scream documentary, the Scream 2 section,
Mhm.
I inserted this in there. That felt like Italian horror. Like it was
Yeah.
almost like they were honoring Italian horror a little bit by having that little moment where she's in that kind of like opera, the movie Opera. I think I
Yep.
kind of spliced in some scenes from Opera in there. That's what it
Mhm.
felt like. And
Yeah.
the Italian horror fanatic in me just geeked out to that. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah. No, that's a great point because it does feel like something that is akin to Italian horror, whether it's, you know, Fulci or
Yeah.
Argento or what have you. And it's creepy. And I kind of like that because again, you know, what's going on? What is Sydney
Mm-hmm.
seeing that? Is it real? Is it not? And you know, Nev played it really well, and
Yes.
it fit with the moment of her being in this play and so forth. So yeah, that's a great point. And I do love that scene, but you know, I think to me, maybe my favorite scene is also the one, like I said, little bit earlier, that was sad. I think it was Cece's death, and I think it
Yeah, that's a
was
great scene.
yeah, you know, it was just, you know, she's there alone. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she's the sober sister waiting for her sisters, you know, and so forth and so forth. It's kind of dark, and she gets the call, and Roger's amazing on the phone, and then of course we get the chase, and then the kill. I honestly, when I first saw this film, I honestly I didn't want her to die, and I didn't fully expect her to die, and just being
Yeah.
thrown off of the top, it was like, oh
Yeah.
my
It's
god.
brutal.
It's so brutal, man. So yeah, I would nominate that as the best scene. Also love the Gale chase too, as I've said before, but I'll
A
go with
little
CC.
segue. The all-time best scene of a woman being thrown off of a balcony and landing on top of a car.
Mhm.
I'd say maybe Lethal Weapon. Yeah,
Oh,
technically she wasn't thrown; she jumped off the balcony. But
yeah.
there was something about the '80s. They would always have. There was like Looker also had a scene. I think actually Looker, which is a movie nobody's seen, but that review I did for Looker still constantly gets comments, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
probably from older dudes.
I saw that
Yeah.
review too, man. And I was
That
like,
is one of
man.
the most intense freaking woman getting thrown out of a window and on top of a car.
Mhm,
Like it looks like a stunt lady
mhm,
landing on top of that car. And man, it's
mhm,
just rough looking. Like
mm.
unless they used a dummy, that stunt lady, she probably didn't work anymore after that. It's just, her body was folded like a freaking pretzel when she hit that car. Man.
Man, the stunt people, especially back in the day, man, God,
Yeah, dude. Oh
they
my God.
they deserve like some serious like back pay. Some of the stuff that they were doing, it was absolutely crazy shit, man.
Crazy.
Seriously, yeah, yeah. Much love to all the stunt people.
Remember in like The Exorcist when William Friedkin,
Mhm.
he says, "Yeah, I need you to fall down that set, the iconic stairs in The Exorcist,"
Yes,
and the
yes,
stuntman does the entire thing. I mean,
yep.
roll and roll and roll, and he lands, and he's like, "Thank God I didn't get freaking killed." He's like, "That was great. That was an awesome take. Let's do it one more time."
Right? Can you
He must have been like,
imagine?
"Fuck this job, man."
Man,
A director does not give a shit who you are, man. Just
I know, man. And
I need the shot.
yeah, I mean, and Freakin' was that type of director. Kubrick was as well.
Yeah,
Kubrick,
brutal.
he'd have you do a scene 50, 60. Shelley, rest in peace and to
Yeah,
Shelley Duvall,
dude.
of course. But the stuff that he put her through,
Oh
holy
God.
shit. Holy shit. And I loved her in The Shining. I
And
absolutely
we just
adore
get
her.
the testimony of what she
Yes.
went through. But can you
Mhm.
imagine when being there and seeing what
Right.
she went through? We have no idea. I guarantee you, it probably drove her insane.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt. No doubt at all. All right. Let's see what we get for our next category. We got two more to go, and we've got four choices. Let's see what we get. Oh, will it be? Oh, it scooted over.
Mm.
All right. Okay. Obviously, when we're talking about directing, we're talking about one of the greatest of all time in Wes Craven. What do you think about his directing effort in Scream 2 and the score that you want to give him?
The master. I'm gonna give
Mm,
him a freaking 5 for his directing in Scream 2, just because of I think he made this movie as far as like what a sequel should be.
mhm.
He delivered on that front. You know,
Yep.
you could tell that this was not an easy movie to direct, given all the moving parts and all
Yep.
the pressure that he had from oh, how am I going to top the reveal in Scream 1 and
Mhm.
just the movie itself? And that under that pressure, I think he delivered a movie that is just as good as the first movie, and that's because of his masterful direction. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I can't say it any better than that. It is absolutely a 5, and, I mean, seriously, just like you
Hmm.
said, all the pressure in the world because of the runaway success that he had with the original, and now you're coming into a sequel, and you gotta find a way to either outdo what you did before or come from another direction, and he was
Yeah.
able to kinda do both,
Yep.
in certain aspects, and that was just masterful, and
Yep.
again, telling this story, especially when you think about the OG3, the way that he was able to make them feel, at least to me, to make them feel real and to have them to continue to evolve while being a horror movie that had the stuff that we need in a horror movie. I mean, he was juggling a bunch, and I think
Yeah.
he was just masterful at it. So I'm going with a 5, no doubt
No doubt.
whatsoever. No doubt. All right. Real quick in the chat before we spin for our last category, Barb was saying, I didn't. Oh, I already got that one. Sorry, Barb. I saw another one that popped up. She's like, wait a minute, I already sent that one. We got Dan coming in saying the first time we hear Dewey's theme. Yeah, man, that scene when he runs, or I should say Gail runs into him, like I said earlier in the stream. I just love that scene.
Yeah.
It
Do,
was just
do, do, do.
yes. Yes, man. I mean, listen, if you ever get a chance to see David Arquette at a convention, and I'm saying that to everybody, go
Yeah.
check him out because he is so freaking cool. He's down to
Yeah.
earth.
He's really cool.
Oh my God, man. I mean, I was I was pretty excited, but of course, Coriander, she was like melting in front of this man. And
Yeah.
I understand why, because he was just so charming He had a
Yeah.
great smile, and he
He
loves
gets
the
better looking with
fans.
age, doesn't he? With the
Yes,
gray, yeah.
I thought he looked great in
It works for
5.
him.
It did, man, and of course, it made it all the more heartbreaking when he when he got killed because I
Yeah,
was
dude.
I was
He should
digging
even
him.
even Nev Campbell said he should not have died. They should not
Yeah.
have killed Dewey.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, they,
No
I think
doubt
they
at all.
should. If they had to kill one, I think Gale should have went.
That's what I
It's
thought
just,
was gonna
it's just
happen,
my
man.
opinion. I think
Yep.
Dewey is. I think he's more important. I really do.
I do too. He
He's a
he is
sheriff.
the heart. He's the
Yeah.
sheriff. He's the heart.
Yep.
He's kind of he's that guy that he just goes all out for his friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that was special because it balanced Sydney and Gale. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, like I said, those 4 films, especially the first 4, he was just so special in them. And of course, 5, I loved him, but unfortunately, they killed
Yeah.
him. So,
Courtney Cox must have some strings, man, because
yep.
there's a fan base that wanted her to die as early as Scream 2. Whereas nobody ever wanted Dewey to die.
Right.
There were people that were like, how did he not die given all the
Yeah.
stabbings? But I don't think anybody's ever said, God, please kill him, because he's just so damn charming.
I know, man. He is the
Mhm.
man, no doubt. All right. And hey, what's up to Jose? What's up, man? Good to see
Jose,
you,
what's
brother.
up, brother?
Hope you're doing well, bro. All right. So let's see what we get for this last category. We've got 3 possibilities: the motive, the opening scene, and the it factor. Let's see what gets chosen for our final category to score. Oh, hell yeah, man. Wow. Wow. Opening scene.
Oh, good one.
Wow. This, and the fun thing about this random wheel, I think sometimes it works to the advantage of these movies and sometimes it can work to a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this might be an advantage for Scream 2. What did
Mhm.
you think of the
Yeah.
opening scene, and what's the score you want to give it?
If I rank it with amongst all the opening scenes of the franchise, it's
Mhm.
definitely up there.
Yeah.
It might be number 2. Like nothing will
Mm.
ever top the opening, the Drew Barrymore opening. No,
Mhm.
nothing will ever to Casey, but it might be number 2 as far as openings go. I'd have to really think about it, but it's a great freaking opening. So I'll give it like a 4.5.
Okay.
It's
All right.
fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, man. I think the thing for me about the opening scene, the first one is just so iconic, and it hits all those buttons that you want. And it's like, okay, where do you go from there? And then you have this situation at a movie theater, which we've all been to a movie theater, and people are all dressed up like friggin' Ghostface. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Wow.
Can you imagine seeing somebody getting up in front of the screen and they're bleeding all over, and you don't know if
Yes.
it's real or not? Just
Right.
wow,
Yeah.
it was a great death.
It was a great idea. And again, there was some inspiration from the old days, but that's all fine because, again, films always stand on the shoulders of the ones that came before it. But I thought this was so well done. I thought
Mhm.
Omar Epps was great. Jada was great.
Yep.
The music, the energy of it. I love this opening scene. And I agree, man. I got to go 4.5. It is
Yeah.
fantastic as an opening scene. No doubt.
Hell yeah.
No doubt at all. All right, guys. So those are our 10 categories that we've scored. We went through, let me just tell you guys what we went through if you're just jumping in here with us. We went through the kills, we went through the final girl, we went through the story, the mystery, the reveal, the characters, Ghostface, the cinematography, the director, and of course the opening scene. So we've got our scores here. Lee gave me his, I've got mine. I'm going to tally this, and then when we get to the end of this particular Scream series, this is how we're going to rank the franchise. And I think
Nice.
it's looking good. It's looking good for Scream 2. Every time we've done this, when we did Halloween, when we did Elm Street, it was so interesting because there were big surprises based upon the scores. And so I'm going to be so curious to see where Scream 2 lands. But guys, that is what we've got for scores. We hope that you guys enjoyed this as well, and definitely keep giving us your scores for some of these categories in the comments. We can continue talking about it. I'll be posting some stuff on social media. We can continue some of those comments because you guys were on fire, with some of the thoughts.
Good chat.
Yeah, it was a very good chat. They always got me cracking up and also thinking, and I always appreciate that. But for everyone, thank you for being here. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed to Drumdums or Drumdums Extra, make sure you do that. We've had the link in the chat. I've got the link in the description. And again, when we have guests on, especially Brother Lee, we appreciate it so much. And so, definitely support him if you're not already, which you should be. Don't forget to hit the like button, of course, all that good stuff. And Lee, I'll see you backstage just for a quick second once
Yeah.
I hit the outro. But I just want to say live, man, and of course Lee didn't ask me to say this, but I really appreciate you being here tonight with everything that you have going on, family wise, channel wise, work wise, and so forth. It truly is always so much fun to spend some time with you talking movies, man.
This was a nice break, actually. It was just chill, I just had to click on a join stream button, and that was it. So it was awesome. One thing I will say, because I'm trying to promote my wife's book, comes out May 27th. It's called Delilah versus the Ghastly Grimm, and it's a children's fantasy book, and it has a kind of a disabled protagonist in it. So. Yeah, May 27th, Delilah versus the Ghastly Grimm. Look for that book. If you check out my socials, I've posted, especially on my Facebook, I posted the cover.
Yeah.
We just finally got the cover finalized recently.
Nice.
Really excited about that. So, yeah, that's I'm trying to promote that, as much as I can.
Hell yeah, man.
But yeah, man, thank you so much, Knight, for having me on here, dude. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun coming on your streams, man. And you're creative, and nobody comes up with stuff like this, It's a good way to really break down any sort of franchise and entries in the franchise. So I dig it.
Thanks, man. Trust me, man, that's going to be fuel in the tank for when times get low, man. But I appreciate that so much because, like I've always said, you've been an inspiration to me. So I appreciate that. And, much success to your wife. I did see on X when you posted the picture of the cover, and it looks so cute, man. So
yeah,
definitely, guys, go and help support Lee and his wife. That is awesome. And I hope that she has as much success as she can possibly have with it, man. Seriously.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
She's working her ass off. So, man.
If she's anything like you, man, I can only imagine how hard she's working. And I definitely
and then some. She's one of the hardest working people I've ever met. So.
Nice. Awesome stuff, man. All right. So, guys, we will catch you later. Lee, I'll check you out backstage for a quick second.
Sure.
Thank you so much. And for the rest of you guys here, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And as always, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Thanks, everyone.